So, of course, what we want to think about in relation to our class is, how the Reformation impacted or affected the witch hunts. And we can look at that question from a number of perspectives. Firstly, Protestants emphasized a fear of the devil and that spiritual battles continue with Satan at all times, who is active in the world. These attitudes were disseminated to people because of Protestantism's emphasis on preaching, but also because of the circulation of their printed works. There was also a renewed interest from both Catholics and Protestants on personal piety. This is a personal religion. You needed to secure your own spiritual salvation and not just depend on following certain rituals, like just simply attending church. So people kind of had a greater sense of their own personal sin and a fear of hell. The relief of guilt through projection onto another person could often easily lead to a witchcraft accusation. In England, for example, many of these initial accusations arose when individuals refused to provide economic assistance to people who needed it or who asked for help. In denying them, both Catholics and Protestants were taught to feel morally guilty. But by depicting the unaided person as a witch, he could relieve himself of or herself of this guilt. Protestants also claimed that Catholicism was a superstitious religion and often described it as a form of magic. Reformers were concerned not only with what people did, but with what they believed. They were concerned with creating a godly state through promoting individual morality, and it was the responsibility of the magistrate to prosecute moral offenses. So witchcraft prosecutions and trials arose within this overall climate of uncertainty that I've been talking about in this entire lecture, as there was an increased sense and fear of what was unknown and a desire to assert control on the part of religious and political authorities. Witchcraft persecutions and beliefs reflect a cultural sense that witches were dangerous and a threat to social order, therefore they needed to be rooted out. But it also reflects an increased scope of the state's power to regulate people's lives at this time. And in our next class, we're going to talk a little bit more about the impact of the Reformation as it directly influenced witchcraft beliefs and persecutions, and we're also going to be talking a little bit more about beliefs around women and gender more specifically, as well as types of explanations that people use, historians use to describe why the witch hunts happened at this time. See you on Wednesday.